United States Air Force presents Big Moments in Sports. Tam O'Shanter Golf, August 1953. Lou Worsham's famous wedge shot.
This is Harry Wismer bringing you a big moment in sports history. What you are about to hear is a dramatic, recreated account of a never-to-be-forgotten sports event. At the peak of its power-packed action, it's a story that has been and will be retold as long as people talk about sports. But first, before we turn back the clock, here is Bill Reddick with a word from the United States Air Force.
Top athletes know there's no substitute for the best coaching and training to produce a winner, and the same formula holds true for success in a career. Now take yourself, for instance. Could this be you 4 years from today? A man skilled in the technical knowledge that can pay him huge dividends the rest of his life. A man with the confidence and advantages of world travel and a nation's respect and esteem. To repeat, does this sound like you 4 years from today? Well, it can be you in the United States Air Force. Yes, men, you'll go places faster as an airman in the Air Force. If you qualify, you'll receive the finest technical training from top experts of the country. And you earn while you learn. There are more than 400 different subjects in which you may train, in such growing fields as radar, medicine, personnel, meteorology, and many more. So if you want a future that looks brighter, see your nearest Air Force recruiter right away and get the facts about your future as an airman. Now back to Harry Wismer.
Lou Worsham has won golf honors from coast to coast, including the coveted United States Open. But as long as the game is played, he will be identified with a single shot and a single club. The double-service niblick, better known as the wedge. Two men have good reason to remember Worsham and his wedge. They are Chandler Harper and Jimmy DeMeritt, two of professional golf's brightest stars. These two will always remember standing on the 18th green at the Tam O'Shanter Golf Club near Chicago late one Sunday afternoon in August 1953, waiting for the finish of the tournament that was expected to see Harper crowned the world champion. At that moment, with most of the famous field already in, Harper led by what most of the huge gallery thought a safe 2 strokes. DeMeritt, who was guesting with your commentator on a national network, had all but conceded the tournament and the $25,000 first-place money to his Virginia friend Chandler Harper. However, let's go back a few years and recall some of the most famous winning shots of the past, shots that have already made golfing history. First to mind was that famous putt by Bobby Jones at Wingfoot in the 1929 U.S. Open. That wasn't a long one, only about 12 feet. But it was perhaps the toughest ever canned under tremendous pressure. Remember the circumstances? Al Espinosa had finished with a 294 for the 72 holes. Jones came to the final hole, a 435-yarder, needing a par 4 to tie. He put his second into the trap on the left. While thousands watched breathlessly, Bobby came out weakly. He faced a 12-footer with a curl to tie. Jones sank it, and then went on to beat Espinosa by 23 strokes in the 36-hole playoff. Then there was Lloyd Mangram's 65-footer in the playoff at Canterbury in 1946. This wasn't the dramatic final shot which meant the difference, but all who saw Mangram's long curler agree it was the turning putt, which eventually won Lloyd the crown. Mangram was battling Byron Nelson and Vic Jessie after a 3-way tie for the 72-hole route. Lloyd had fallen a stroke behind and seemed completely out when he drove out of bounds in the 9th hole, playing 3 off the tee. He put his second on the far left of the green with the pin 65 feet away. But Mangram, using a flat-headed wooden putter, snaked the ball up and down, mound after mound, directly into the cup for an unbelievable 5. The others 3-putted. It enabled Lloyd to tie Nelson and Jessie at the end of 18, then come through the second time around. One of the greatest shots of all time was Dr. Kerry Middlecoff's 82-foot putt, which he sank for an eagle 3 on the 13th hole of the second round of a recent Masters in Augusta. The shot enabled Middlecoff to finish with a 65 on his way to a 7-stroke victory. Now let's get back on the course with our friend Lou Worsham. Louis Elmer Worsham, Jr. was born in Alta Vista, Virginia, not far from Lynchburg. He was one of 5 children of a carpenter. His family moved to Washington, D.C. when he was a boy, and Lou learned the rudiments of golf while caddying at Kenwood Country Club just outside the capital city. He received his first set of clubs from the operator of the public courses in Washington as his prize for winning a caddy tournament at 18. Not too long after, he turned pro and was hired as an assistant in the golf shop at the fashionable Chevy Chase Club. A short time later, he took over as pro at the exclusive Burning Tree Golf Club. Burning Tree in nearby Maryland is better known as the home course of another named golfer, President Dwight D. Eisenhower. But even while holding the top job at one of the most elite clubs in golfdom, Lou at 21 had itchy hands to try his luck on the tournament trail. It all became a reality when another of the district's more fashionable layouts offered Lou a playing professional's post. It was now 1943, and with World War II still in need of men, young Mr. Worsham joined the Navy. He received his honorable discharge in 1946 and almost immediately turned to tournament play. He joined the Oakmont Country Club near Pittsburgh as playing professional and has been there ever since. Which brings us right up to date at the famous Tam O'Shanter Golf Tournament outside of Chicago in August of 1953. Now, before big moments in sports brings you the thrilling account of one of the greatest shots in the history of golf, here is Bill Reddick with a message of interest to all young men who want to go places faster.
Many times an athlete has some special talent or ability, yet never quite finds a way to use it on the playing field. And the same applies to everyday life. For instance, you may happen to be a service veteran with a special skill you learned in the service, yet you find this skill going to waste. So listen. Maybe you can put your skill to work as a member of the United States Air Force. The Air Force needs experience and know-how gained in all of the armed forces. If you possess one of the critical skills needed to keep America's air defense strong, you can put your experience to work in the Air Force, and at a higher grade and higher pay than you may realize. You've earned credits toward a well-paying retirement policy. So protect your initial investment. For full details, write or visit your Air Force recruiter and ask for the prior serviceman's folder. This folder will show you why, today and tomorrow, you're better off in the United States Air Force. Chicago, Illinois, August 1953. Lou Worsham's famous wedge shot at Tam O'Shanter.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Harry Wismer speaking to you from the 18th green of the Tam O'Shanter Golf Club here on the outskirts of Chicago. George May, the owner of this course, has developed this tournament into the biggest prize money show in the sport. Today, top man, or should I say the one with the low score, will walk out of the locker room $25,000 richer. We have just watched Chandler Harper, the Portsmouth, Virginia pro, finish with a total of 279. He dropped a 9-iron shot within 2 feet of the pin for a birdie on this last hole, and believe me, folks, it was a beauty. Jimmy DeMeritt on my left says that it was one of the greatest shots he has ever seen. And he can't see how anyone can come close to tying Harper. In fact, he has already told our viewers that Harper has all but pocketed the $25,000 check as the winner. There is great interest in this final hole. I would say roughly that we have about 15,000 fans along the fairway. Now teeing off for the payoff hole is Lou Worsham of the Oakmont Country Club near Pittsburgh, former National Open champion, and the last player of the day. This veteran pro is a determined guy. He enters every tournament where it is humanly possible to play. There's Lou's drive. It has height, but the wind may hold it up a bit. The ball is landing. The ball's dead. No bounce at all. Pretty good spot on the fairway on the left side, giving him an opening into the pin. I would judge it to be about a 270-yard drive. You know, this is a par 4 hole here at 18. So you see he has to go some to even tie Harper. Needs a birdie 3, actually. Worsham is squinting up to the pin. I don't know what he has in mind. Worsham is talking it over with his caddy. Now he's going to his bag for another club. Evidently, he doesn't care too much for the one he had. He's going for the wedge. He's back talking to his caddy again. I guess he can't make up his mind. The crowd is very quiet now. He's over his ball. This is a big moment. Worsham swings. It seems to have been hit low. Actually, he has topped the shot. It hits on the edge of the green. The ball is 45 feet away from the cup and is rolling toward the pin, rolling. He could get his birdie in time to match, but no! It's in the cup for an eagle, too. One of the most fantastic golf shots of all time and worth $25,000. Lou Worsham has put the ball into the cup from 120 yards out and with a wedge. Worsham wins with a 278 What a champion! The crowd is running all over the place. I don't believe Lou realizes he has made it. They're trying to tell him it's all over as he comes over the bridge, but for some reason he just won't believe them. I'm telling you, folks, I've broadcast some great finishes in golf, but this really tops them all. It was a miracle of the greens. The players are carrying Worsham on their shoulders, and I'll guarantee you this has never happened before. I have never seen anything like this on a golf course anywhere. Worsham is being carried to the locker room. It's a day he'll never forget. The $25,000 check Lou Worsham got that evening from George May might well have been called the first down payment on a fortune. For that single dramatic shot made Mr. Worsham a rich and famous man. Lou was immediately signed to a contract calling for 35 exhibitions at golf clubs around the country at $1,000 each plus all expenses. Then came almost every kind of endorsement under the sun, plus radio, television, and movie shorts. Winning the rich Tam O'Shanter World Championship before a large television and radio audience put Lou over the top. His dramatic finish made fans of thousands who hadn't given golf more than a passing thought. Sporting goods companies and department stores all over the nation reported they were swamped with demands for the Worsham wedge. Worsham's Tam O'Shanter victory was not the first opportunity Lou had to cash in on the game. His first chance came after he beat Sammy Snead for the U.S. Open in St. Louis in 1947. That was the year he challenged Snead and who was away for the final putt. Sammy missed his, and Lou came through for the crown. There was drama in that one, too. Worsham and Snead were in a tense 18-hole playoff. At the time, Lou was a little-known newcomer in big-time golf, and Snead was rated with the great masters. At the St. Louis Country Club, the two finished the regular 72 holes in a tie for the title at 282, forcing a playoff. Stroke for stroke, Lou and Sam battled down to the 18th green, where they were left with almost the identical putts. Worsham said he was away and asked for a measurement. Snead was 30.5 inches away, Worsham a half-inch less. Visibly rattled, Snead missed. Lou made his putt good for a 69 to Snead's 70 and the championship. Lou Worsham has come a long way since he won his first set of clubs as a caddy. He's a big attraction in every tournament in which he competes. He'll be a name player for years to come and probably one of the richest. All because of the 120-yard wedge shot he made at the Tam O'Shanter. It was a shot that will never be forgotten by all who play the course near Chicago. George S. May has seen to that. He has placed a marker on the 18th fairway at the spot where Worsham made his fantastic shot. Was it skill? Was it luck? Lou Worsham's only comment is, heck, who knows? What came first, the chicken or the egg? For Worsham, however, that wedge shot was a golden egg.
Big Moments in Sports with Harry Wismer is directed by Gene Kirby, written by Arthur Suskin Jr., and presented by the United States Air Force in cooperation with this station. This is Bill Reddick speaking. Your United States Air Force presents Big Moments in Sports. 1936 Olympics, Berlin, Germany. Jessie Owens does it again.
This is Harry Wismer bringing you a big moment in sports history. What you are about to hear is a dramatic recreated account of a never-to-be-forgotten sports event. At the peak of its power-packed action, it's a story that has been and will be retold as long as people talk about sports. But first, before we turn back the clock, here is Bill Reddick with a word from the United States Air Force.
Every day we hear of new records being set in sport. And this modern trend toward speed holds true in life, too. So if you're a young man looking for a job that will enable you to go places faster, then be an airman in the United States Air Force. You'll go places faster in more ways than one. you'll go places faster in your job. Because as an airman, you'll get the finest training there is. Training from top experts in such growing fields as aircraft maintenance, rocket propulsion, transportation, communications. You'll go places faster financially. Because as an airman, you earn while you learn, receive full pay from the day you begin. You'll gain valuable experience, too, that can ensure your future. Yes, the future looks brighter in Air Force Blue. So check with your nearest Air Force recruiter. Learn how you can go places faster as an airman in the United States Air Force. Now back to Harry Wismer.
On May 25th, 1935, a lean, lithe athlete affectionately called the Ebony Antelope performed a feat that has since been hailed as the greatest one-man performance of all time. For on that blazing afternoon, Jessie Owens, the greatest sprinter and broad jumper the world has ever known, broke 5 world records and tied a 6th, to literally lift the track world out of its shoes. Never before did one man accomplish so much in so short a space of time as Owens did that day in the Big Ten track meet at Ann Arbor, Michigan. Competing for Ohio State, Owens tied the 100-yard dash record at 9 4/10 seconds and set new world marks of 20 3/10 seconds for the 220 yards, 22 6/10 seconds for the 220-yard low hurdles, and 26 feet 8 1/4 inches for the broad jump. All these astounding records were formally accepted as international standards. A year later, Jessie Owens performed what to many, including himself, was an even greater miracle on the cinder paths when he competed in 4 events in the 1936 Olympic Games in Germany, won all 4, and shattered 4 Olympic records. Never before or since has any athlete dominated the international games as did Jessie Owens that summer week in the noxious atmosphere of Nazi Germany. Jessie electrified not only the bug-eyed audience, but the entire world with his amazing speed that set new Olympic marks in the 100 meters, the 200 meters, and the broad jump. Also helped the United States capture the 400-meter relay in world record time. It undeniably was the greatest Olympic performance of all time, and it's doubtful if it'll ever be equaled, let alone surpassed. Let's go back to the beginning in the career of this fabulous track star. It was at Fairmont Junior High School in Cleveland, Ohio, that Jessie Owens started running at the age of 14, and he didn't stop to catch his breath until after he finished in Germany 8 years later. Jessie Owens' family came from Danville, Alabama, to Cleveland when he was 9. He shined shoes to help at home until his speed distinguished him from the other boys at school. When his coach, Charlie Riley, clocked him doing his first 220 in 25 2/10 seconds, he couldn't believe his eyes or his stopwatch. All this from a skinny 14-year-old freshman. Jessie Owens says that winning the 100-meter race, his first victory in the Olympics after Paul Goebbels, the Nazi propagandist, had told the world that his blonde bombers were going to win everything in sight, is something he won't forget. Owens clearly recalls that summer afternoon as if it were yesterday, when he sat alone on a bench beneath the stadium wearing a pair of borrowed track shoes because in his haste, Jessie had left his own at the American living quarters. At the line, Jessie dug his starting pits, making the holes to suit himself. He wanted to make sure the cinders shaped to the size of his feet and not the borrowed shoes. The earth seemed a bit cool, but it reminded him of home, of a Negro woman's only request to her son. Do right, Jessie, and do good. The trumpet sounded again, was calling attention to the start of the 100-meter race. At the command to take their mark, Jessie bent to his task. With him, 3 other runners were bending to the earth. The line may have seemed crowded, but Jessie felt all alone, waiting for the shot that would send him up, out, and away. At the crack of the gun, the runners were off. Owens was out of his pit like a leaping panther, off low and moving. At 20 yards, he started to rise. 10 more yards, he was up straight. Fists clenched, head high. He had covered 30 yards before his mind knew he was actually moving. Out of nowhere, he heard the others flanking him. Ralph Metcalf, fellow American, the only man who had beaten Jessie in 2 years, was at his heels. Martin Ossendarp, Holland's speedster, was 3rd, and Frank Wyckoff, another American, was 4th. Metcalf went by at 70 meters. Owens caught him in the next stride. Then it was neck and neck, stride for stride in the next 10. Then, like a streak of sudden lightning, Owens shot out in front. Near the tape, Jessie seemed to feel the power in his legs and kept driving. Just wanted to run, 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 and never stop. It was what he had trained himself to do, run faster than anyone else in the world. At the finish, he was all alone. His terrific spurt in the final yards had brought Jesse Owens another victory. When the tape hit Jesse, he was as fast as any human had ever run. Even at the finish line, they couldn't catch him. They had to grab him in the near turn and hold him in their arms. They could feel the trembling all through his body. As officials and team members headed Owens back to the winner's platform, 50,000 spectators were on their feet, cheering a great performance that they themselves felt without benefit of stopwatch. While the crowd stood, several departed. Hitler found the situation not to his liking. The time, 10 3/10, an Olympic and world record, brought thunderous applause. Now, before big moments in sports, brings you the thrilling details of the great 200-meter race run by Jesse Owens in the 1936 Olympics. Here is Bill Reddick with a message of interest to all young men who want to go places faster.
If you're an ex-serviceman experienced in one of the critical skills needed to keep America's air defense strong, you're in luck. The Career Incentive Act of 1955 opens up new opportunity in the Air Force to veterans from all of the armed services. Yes, if you possess one of the skills the Air Force needs, you may qualify for the United States Air Force, and in a grade that will be a pleasant surprise. The Air Force needs men skilled in many important fields. So put your service-earned experience to work to your best advantage as a member of the Air Force team. Make the credits you've earned toward a well-paying retirement policy pay off. For complete details, write or visit your nearest Air Force recruiter right away for the special prior serviceman's folder. See what a return to the armed services as an airman in the Air Force can mean to you. Today and tomorrow, you're better off in the United States Air Force. 1936 Olympics, Berlin, Germany. Jesse Owens races again.
Good afternoon, sport fans. This is Harry Wismer speaking to you from Olympic Stadium under an overcast sky. Runners are limbering up all over the track, getting ready for the 200-meter race. Far into last night, no matter where you traveled, fans kept talking about Jesse Owens' great burst of speed in winning the 100-meter race. They just can't believe anyone could run that fast. We'll get another chance to see real soon when the officials call the final qualifiers for the 200-meter race. Unlike the straightaway course of yesterday's race, this event is run in around a turn. So where a runner may be swift up a chute, he is apt to lose some time making the curve. But we'll just wait and see. The runners are lining up. On the rail is Jesse Owens, United States. Next is Paul Henny, Switzerland. In the third hole, Lee Orr, Canada. Next to him, Mac Robinson of California. And on the outside, Martin Assendarp of the Netherlands. Assendarp placed third to Owens yesterday. The 5 runners have taken their place on the line. All are bent to the earth. The starter has gun ready. Just a minute. They are holding up the race. Something must be wrong. There are some runners coming into the stadium way down on the track. Oh, I see the reason for the delay. It's the finish of the 50,000-meter walking race, and these are the first in line. It's great to see how these fellows can heel and toe it without ever losing a stride. They are going past the stands now, and at a pretty rapid gait. They'll finish on the backstretch, so after this sprint, we'll have the results for you. It's starting to sprinkle a bit now, and the chill winds are making us glad we brought along our top coat. Those poor runners down below are really feeling it. A penetrating rain like this sends chills up and down your spine. You know, I can't ever recall one of these races being canceled because of inclement weather. The boys are ready now. They'll have to run to keep warm, if nothing else. The runners are bent again. Mark. Set. There's the gun. As they leap from their starting positions, Owens is out in front. Assendarp of the Netherlands second. Orr, Canada third. Robinson, U.S. fourth. And Henny, Switzerland last. And it's starting to rain a little heavier now. As they finish the first 50 yards, Owens is moving along like a bullet. The others are running right on his heels. Jesse is gliding without any sign of strain, no sign of exertion. No one has ever run this race in less than 21 seconds flat. They are now at the top of the last straightaway. It's about 100 yards from the finish line. Owens is still on top. Robinson is now second. He looks like he might overtake Owens coming into the home stretch. Jesse probably hears his footsteps. Now he's pouring on that speed. He's heading for the tape. Only 20 yards to go. Can he make it? He does! Jessie hits the tape for the driving stretch run to win once again. Ossendorp looked like he caught Mac Robinson for the silver medal as they both crossed the broken tape at about the same time. Haney was fourth and Orr of Canada finished last. The timekeepers are comparing their watches. Some are scratching their heads in amazement. There's the announcement. The time, 20 and 7/10 seconds, another world record, and Jessie Owens is again walking to the winner's circle. Owens came home from a post-Olympic tour of the continent to be greeted by the kind of ticker tape parade that only New York City can give a conquering hero. He had medals, he had publicity, he had acclaim. He had the best wishes of his countrymen. But he also had a wife and child to support. An amateur never makes a dime, so Jessie was just about broke. Jessie began to run for a living. He turned professional. The fastest man in the world, raced against horses in New York and Chicago. He raced against cars, trucks, dogs, and even baseball players circling the bases. He ran against anything, anybody, anywhere. And when there were no contestants, he ran just for the customers. Today, Jessie Owens is secretary of the Illinois State Athletic Commission. He succeeded a former rival, Ralph Metcalf, who held the position under a different political administration. Owens also heads his own public relations organization in Chicago. Did someone ask when Jessie Owens last ran in competition? Well, it was in 1948 in Barcelona, Spain. He was clocked for the 100 yards in 9 7/10 seconds. Have you any idea what that means? It's the story of a great champion slowing down. Yes, he slowed down 0.3 of a second in 12 years. But 9 7/10 seconds was too slow for Jessie Owens, so he quit. Jessie Owens had run his last race.
Big Moments in Sports with Harry Wismer is directed by Gene Kirby, written by Arthur Suskin Jr., and presented by the United States Air Force in cooperation with this station. This is Bill Reddick speaking. Your United States Air Force presents Big Moments in Sports. December 5th, 1947, Madison Square Garden, New York. Joe Louis almost beaten in boxing's biggest upset.
This is Harry Wismer bringing you a big moment in sports history. What you are about to hear is a dramatic recreated account of a never-to-be-forgotten sporting event at the peak of its power-packed action. It's a story that has been and will be retold as long as people talk about sports. But first, before we turn back the clock, here is Bill Reddick with a message from the United States Air Force.
Are you a service veteran? Then listen carefully. This message is for you. You may be qualified to enlist in the United States Air Force in a grade that will surprise you. If you possess one of the critical skills needed to keep America's air defense strong, the Air Force offers you an opportunity to put those skills to work to your best advantage, and at a higher grade and higher pay than you may realize. The Air Force needs experience and know-how gained in all the armed forces. And now, thanks to the new Career Incentive Act of 1955, you can put your service-gained skills to work to your best advantage by returning to the armed services as a member of the Air Force team. Write or visit your Air Force recruiter for the special Prior Serviceman's folder. It will give you full details on the advantage of returning to the service as an airman. You'll see why, today and tomorrow, you're better off in the United States Air Force. And now back to Harry Wismer.
Ask anyone who saw Joe Louis win a split decision over Jersey Joe Walcott at Madison Square Garden, and they'll tell you that Christmas came 20 days early for the Brown Bomber. This premature visit by Santa Claus came in the guise of two ringside boxing judges, Frank Forbes and Marty Monroe. It was their votes that nullified referee Ruby Goldstein's decision favoring Walcott and enabled Lewis to retain the heavyweight championship. To the nearly 18,000 fans, there appeared no doubt that Walcott, known as the Cinderella Man because of his great comeback, had decisively whipped the mighty Brown Bomber. But hardships and setbacks were nothing new to this aged challenger. The life of Jersey Joe Walcott is a study in perseverance. It is one that parallels any rags-to-riches saga. Walcott had to wait 20 years after his first recorded professional fight before he won the world's heavyweight title by knocking out Izzard Charles in Pittsburgh in July 1951. Jersey Joe Walcott was born in Merchantville, New Jersey in January of 1914. His real name is Arnold Cream, and he was the eldest of 10 children. Jersey Joe never craved glory as a fighter, but took to the ring only because he thought it offered an opportunity for a strong, agile, and clean-living man to make more money than he could on a garbage truck or as a stevedore or a ditch digger. When it failed him, he quit. When he went back to it, his only thought was the welfare of his family. The last time, the specific reason was that there was no coal in the cellar of his humble home. Had Joe been gainfully employed at the time, negotiations for his services would have ended as quickly as they began. For this time, Joe meant his retirement to stick. But he was soon talked out of it when a local sportsman asked him to reopen an abandoned fight club in Camden, New Jersey, and propositioned Joe to return to the ring. "I got to fill that empty bin and keep it filled," Walcott told the sportsman. "If you can help me do that, I'll give it one more try." It was filled the next morning, and it was never empty again. Jersey Joe had no more trouble getting matches. He ran up such an impressive string of victories that he soon became the idol of the boxing fraternity of South Jersey and Philadelphia. Walcott was on his way up, but 2 straight losses in 1946 to Joey Maxim and Elmer Ray stopped this upward climb momentarily. In return bouts, he whipped both boys and earned himself a match with the champion, Joe Louis. However, there was one hitch. The 20th Century Sporting Club decided to make the Louis-Walcott bout a 10-round exhibition. At this point, the New York State Athletic Commission intervened. Eddie Egan, the chairman, refused to sanction an exhibition bout involving a world's champion. He would approve a title fight between Louis and Walcott, but nothing less. On the surface, this suggestion looked ridiculous. Jersey Joe had lost his last bout in the Garden to Elmer Ray. He was 33 years old, and what's more, he was the father of 6 children. Louis was also 33, but he was a fighter apart from all others. Undetected at the time was the slowing down of Louis's reflexes. That December night in 1947, when the ring announcer introduced the contestants, Walcott weighed 194.5 and Louis 211. The jam-packed garden got its first thrill right at the start. Walcott, showing utter disdain for the champion, walked right across the ring from his corner, sparred a bit, and knocked Louis down with a crashing right to the head. The champion was up immediately, but there was a bewildered look on his usually unexpressive face. Here was one man, at least, who wasn't going to run away, as so many others had done against Louis in this very same ring. Jersey Joe shuffled in, inching his way to within arm's length of Louis's chin. He kept moving his head, making the champion fearful of what punch he was to throw next. Then Jersey Joe delivered some more solid rights and lefts to the head, and Louis staggered backward as if hurt. The crowd from ringside to gallery top was amazed that anyone would have the gumption to treat the champion in such a shabby manner. At the sound of the bell in the second round, Louis rushed out of his corner, trying desperately to make up what ground he lost in the opening round. Walcott, however, calmly stepped off to the right, sticking a left jab into the champion's face, keeping Louis off balance and scoring enough to win the round. The big thrill came in the 4th round. Walcott smashed a hard right to Joe's chin. He hit the canvas flat on his back. He rolled over on his stomach at 4, looked to his corner for advice. At 7, he was up and ready to face the challenger. The crowd was in an uproar. They kept yelling for Walcott to walk in. But strangely, Walcott went on the defensive and never did press his advantage. He fell into a clinch with the champion without a blow struck. He seemed content just standing by and trying to outpoint the Brown Bomber. Louis had his best round in the 9th after his corner kept pleading with him to punch more often. He jarred Walcott with some of his old-time rights, opening a small cut under the challenger's left eye. One of the hardest blows of the fight, a left hook, almost floored Walcott in the 11th. But Jersey Joe fought back to the surprise of all and stunned Lewis with a hard left to the head. Lewis's left eye by now was shut tight, and his face was puffed twice its original size. Walcott was again outboxing the champion in the 13th when a powerful Lewis left sent Jersey Joe back on his heels and sprawling to the canvas. And when he got up without a count, he ran into a solid left and right combination. But the bell rang shortly thereafter. Everyone around the ringside started to check their own scorecards. They just couldn't believe what they were seeing. Was it an upset in the making? In the 14th, Walcott just stayed out of trouble. Now, before Big Moments in Sports brings you in detail the thrilling blow-by-blow account of the 15th and final round of the first Lewis-Walcott fight, here is Bill Reddick with a message of interest to all young men who want to go places faster.
A career in the sports world is just like any other job. To be successful, you have to start young and learn the ropes fast. Well, men, if you're between 17 and 34 years of age, here's your opportunity to go places faster. Get in on the ground floor of jet aviation by becoming an airman in the United States Air Force. If you qualify, you'll receive the finest technical training from top experts, men who've been in jet aviation from its beginnings. You'll train for such specialized subjects as radar, mechanics, rocket propulsion. You'll receive valuable experience and work with the latest jet planes. You'll see a whole new world open up and discover the thrill of wearing the uniform of the greatest young man's team in the country, Air Force Blue. So act now to ensure your future and your country's future in jet aviation. See your nearest Air Force recruiter right away. Madison Square Garden, New York, December 1947. Joe Louis almost beaten in big upset.
There's the bell, and both Lewis and Walcott move out towards the center of the ring. They touch gloves for this 15th and final round over the outstretched arms of referee Ruby Goldstein. Both fighters move around, neither landing a blow here in the early seconds of the round. Lewis looks like anything but the champion that he is, as Walcott shoots a left jab to the Brown Bomber's eye. Walcott takes a left to the body thrown by Lewis, and they fall into a clinch. They are broken apart by the referee. Jersey Joe looks very tired. This is the first time in his long career that he's had to go the distance of 15 rounds. Since the 11th, Walcott has been content to keep out of the way of anything Lewis might throw without doing any countering in return. Lewis keeps moving, and he can't land a solid punch as Walcott keeps dancing away, backing up, just flicking out with his left hand that does no damage at all. Lewis's corner keeps yelling at Joe to keep punching. Now Lewis has Walcott backed into the corner at the far side of the ring and lands a right and a left to Walcott's midsection, and Jersey Joe falls into a clinch. Referee Goldstein comes in to separate them. A minute and a half has gone by, and Lewis had better start something soon if he wants to retain his title. Now Walcott shuffles in towards the Brown Bomber and whips over two light left jabs to Joe's face, and then dances away before Lewis can counter with anything of his own. Lewis moves in quickly now and sends a long right hand to Walcott's ribs, and Walcott is on the move again. His corner has just yelled up to him to keep moving and keep his hands up. The crowd now begins to yell for Lewis to press the fight. They seem to feel that Walcott is just in there to last the round. Lewis has the challenger pinned against the ropes in his own corner and lets go with a solid right that catches Walcott right on the button and staggers him. Jersey Joe has been hurt. He's looking to his corner now. Lewis whips quick left hooks to the body and another right to the side of Walcott's face. Now the action is picked up here. But is there enough time for Lewis to turn the tide in this fight? 45 seconds to go now. Goldstein comes in to separate them as they maul each other around in a clinch. Walcott shuffles away. Lewis after him. There's another right to Walcott's head that hurts him as the seconds tick away. Walcott covers up as Lewis blasts away with two hard punches to the ribs. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2. The house lights are up. There's the bell, and the fight is over. The crowd is milling around the ring. New York's finest have jumped up into the ring apron, and the buzz of the jam-packed house indicates they feel we may have a new champion. What a fight this has been. Over in Lewis's corner, his seconds and manager are talking to the champion and looking over at the ring announcer as he picks up the slips from the judges and the referee. Lewis's face is really a sight. This is the worst beating he's taken since that first Max Schmeling fight. Over in Jersey Joe's corner, they're all smiling. Walcott is talking to riders just below his corner. His seconds are raising his hands as a token of his victory. And here's the announcer from the ring.
Judge Frank Forbes scores 6 rounds for Walcott, 1 round even, 8 rounds for Lewis.
Walcott's corner is in a rage. They can't understand the vote.
Referee Ruby Goldstein scores 7 rounds for Walcott, 2 rounds even, 6 rounds for Lewis.
Lewis is leaving the ring. He's out on the apron and going down the steps. His trainer is pulling at Joe to come back. Has Joe Lewis conceded the loss of his heavyweight crown?
Judge Martin Monroe scores 9 rounds for Lewis, 6 rounds for Walcott. The winner by majority vote and still the heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Lewis.
Jersey Joe Walcott was to try 3 more times to win the title and finally made the bid a successful one by flattening Ezzard Charles in Forbes Field, Pittsburgh. After 21 years, he had reached his goal, the heavyweight championship of the world. This definitely was one of the most remarkable achievements in ring history. Truly, a big moment in sports.
Big Moments in Sports with Harry Wismer is directed by Gene Kirby, written by Arthur Suskin Jr., and presented by the United States Air Force in cooperation with this station. This is Bill Reddick speaking. Your United States Air Force presents Big Moments in Sports. Municipal Stadium, Cleveland, December 24th, 1950. The Toe wins another pro football championship for the Browns.
This is Harry Wismer bringing you a big moment in sports history. What you were about to hear is a dramatic recreated account of a never-to-be-forgotten sports event at the peak of its power-packed action. It's a story that has been and will be retold as long as people talk about sports. But first, before we turn back the clock, here is Bill Reddick with a message from the United States Air Force.
Young men, here is opportunity with a capital O. Your chance to go places faster. Be an airman in the United States Air Force. The Air Force offers unparalleled opportunity for men between the ages of 17 and 34. If you qualify, you'll receive the finest technical training from top experts. Training in such jobs as radar, administration, medical assistance, hydraulic and mechanical equipment, maintenance, and transportation. You'll gain top experience, the kind that produces experts, that gives a man self-confidence, and enables him to go places faster. Remember, too, you earn while you learn, and you'll be gaining the respect and esteem of the entire country. Yes, the future looks brighter in Air Force Blue. See your nearest Air Force recruiter as soon as possible. Secure your future and go places faster in the United States Air Force. Now back to Harry Wismer.
One of the most powerful football dynasties ever built is the handiwork of a balding genius by the name of Paul Brown. This slightly built, nattily dressed individual has rolled up a series of pigskin victories from Massillon High to Ohio State to Great Lakes and finally the Cleveland Browns in the National Football League. That should rank him as one of the truly outstanding football coaches of all time. They have said for years that Paul Brown has called every play of his teams from the bench. How his guards shuttle in and out from the sidelines to the field before and after every play is well known to football fans everywhere. If this is true, Brown can look back to an unbroken string of football championships, the like of which may never be equaled, and feel proud of his results. When the All-American Conference was organized in 1946, Paul Brown's hand-picked team, composed of such stars as Otto Graham, Marion Motley, Lou Groza, Max Speedy, and Dante Lavelli, just to name a few, dominated the league and ran roughshod over all opposition to wrap up 4 championships in a row. When their conference merged with the National Football League in 1950, the so-called experts figured the honeymoon was over. But the record books will tell you that the Browns never broke stride. In their first year against the toughest kind of competition, they won their division title and then went on to shade the Los Angeles Rams 30-28 to capture their fifth straight championship in one of the most thrilling playoff games ever seen. In a startling finish, the Browns came from behind to win the contest in the last 20 seconds. When the Los Angeles Rams came back to Municipal Stadium in Cleveland on Christmas Eve, it was their first visit since they had headed west after winning the 1945 Conference Championship. Few members of that 1945 squad remained, but Bob Waterfield, the great quarterback, was still the big star. The game was a brilliant passing duel between Waterfield and Otto Graham. This was football at its thrilling best. The very first play of the game brought the fans to their feet. Right after the opening kickoff, the Rams scored a touchdown. Waterfield fired a long pass to Glenn Davis in the first 27 seconds of play, and the former West Point star galloped 45 yards to pay dirt. Waterfield's boot made it 7-0, and the Cleveland fans sank back in gloom, expecting the worst. The Browns, however, couldn't afford the luxury of worrying. 6 plays after the next kickoff, they had tied the score. The tie didn't last very long. The high-flying Rams came right back. An 81-yard drive in 8 plays put them up front 13-7, and another Waterfield conversion made it 14-7. The second period just meant defending different goals. The crossbars looked the same, no matter what end of the field they were on. In 8 plays in this period, the Browns rolled off 65 yards for touchdown number 2, with Graham passing to end Dante LaValle for 35 yards to make it 14-13. Cleveland trailed by 1. Then something happened to set the stage for the unbelievable tension that would come later in the game. On the conversion attempt, the pass from center was high. Tommy James, who held the ball for Lou Groza, couldn't get it set in time. Thinking quickly, he got to his feet, dashed a few yards to the right, and threw a hurried pass into the end zone to Captain Tony Adamley. It reached his fingertips, but fell off. That miss was a big difference, as the first half ended 14-13. And as the game progressed, it seemed to grow greater and greater. Cleveland barged into a 20-14 lead early in the third quarter, but every new score encouraged the opposition to come right back, and that's just what the Los Angeles Rams did. Waterfield uncorked 3 great passes in succession to place the ball on Cleveland's 17. And from there, Dick Horner carried 7 straight times, finally pulling it over from the 1. The point-after touchdown put the Rams in front once again, 21-20. After the kickoff, it looked like the Browns were once more on the march. On their own 20, Marion Motley took a wide pitch out from Graham. He roared around his own left end for 8 yards. Then cornered, he turned and tried to find an opening. He was tackled hard and dropped the ball. A Rams end scooped it up on the run and made for the goal line. He avoided tacklers who had shots at him and just made the touchdown marker, stumbling across for the score. Another kick by Waterfield, and the Rams had a breather, 28-20. But, as I said before, one score brought on another. An intercepted pass on Cleveland's own 35 provided the springboard from which the Browns came right back. Graham completed 5 passes to the glue-fingered LaValle to move the ball to the Los Angeles 47. It was 4th down and a yard to go for a first down. Graham never hesitated. He took the gamble and carried the ball himself, sneaking through to the 40 while the crowd shouted as though he had tied the score. With 14 yards separating his team from the goal line, Graham passed to Rex Baumgardner in the end zone. It clicked. Peerless Otto had come fighting back. Rosa kicked the extra point, but Cleveland still trailed 28-27. That missed conversion had come back to haunt Paul Brown like a giant white ghost. Now, before Big Moments in Sports brings you in detail the thrilling account of the closing minutes of the Pro Championship game between the Cleveland Browns and the Los Angeles Rams, here is a message of interest to all young men who want to go places faster.
Young men, are you interested in electronics, mechanics, jet propulsion? Then be an airman in the United States Air Force. Whatever your preferences, you'll find the right spot for you as an airman in the Air Force. There are over 400 specialized jobs for which you may qualify. As an airman, you're a key man, skilled in technical ability, trained by top experts. As an airman, you earn while you learn. And the Air Force offers you other important benefits. Retirement plan with pension, the chance for world travel. You'll advance as high as your interest and ability can take you. Yes, your future will look brighter in Air Force Blue. If you're between 17 and 34, see your Air Force recruiter now. You'll go places faster in the United States Air Force.
Municipal Stadium, Cleveland, December 24th, 1950. Rams battle Browns for Pro Football title.
We're in the closing minutes of this great ball game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Cleveland Browns at Municipal Stadium in Cleveland. Fans, this has been a bitter, hard-fought struggle down there on that frost-bitten field. The temperature is about 7 above zero. It's clear and very cold, and the Rams lead 28-27 with 2 minutes of playing time remaining in the fourth quarter. Cleveland was on the march a few seconds ago. They were deep in Rams territory, but the ever-reliable Graham fumbled the ball after picking up 7 yards through the line, and Los Angeles recovered on their own 22. This could be the end for the Browns, and a lot of folks think they've had it. Time has been called. Bob Waterfield, the great Rams quarterback, is over at the far sideline talking to his coach, Jumbo Joe Steiderhar, getting last-minute instructions to carry back to his teammates. Now, time's back in. Los Angeles ball on their own 22, and they go into punt formation with Waterfield back. Only a minute 48 seconds remain in the game. The ball is snapped, and Waterfield gets off a high spiraling boot slightly over to the right. It drops on the Browns' 20-yard line, rolls to the 15. Cliff Lewis, Cleveland safety man, picks up the ball. It streaks for the far sideline. He's up to the 20, the 25, the 30, where he is hit by a whole host of Ram tacklers and brought down. It's 1st and 10 for the Browns on their own 30. Can they do it? Time is running out, and that goal line is 70 yards away. With the Browns in their huddle, there's no question in anyone's mind what Graham is going to do. The Browns come out of their huddle with Graham calling signals over the center. A minute and a half left in the game. The ball is taken by Otto, and he fades back to pass. He can't find a receiver. Now he moves into that pocket, and he's going to run with the ball. He's up to the 35, the 40, the 45, before he's hauled down. But it's enough for another first down. 28-27, Rams lead. The Browns out of the huddle quickly. About a minute to play. Graham once again calling signals. Back again to pass. He's looking for a target. Now he lets go toward the far side. And Rex Baumgartner comes out of nowhere, leaps high in the air to pull it in, and steps out of bounds to stop the clock. Another first down for Cleveland on the Rams' 30-yard line. 50 seconds to go, and the ball is placed 15 yards in from the sidelines. Browns ball, 1st and 10 to go. Out of their huddle quickly, Graham once again takes the ball and looks for a receiver. He can't find one and throws it off to his left, incomplete. The Rams are now arguing that Graham intentionally grounded the ball, but the officials refuse to see it that way. 43 seconds to go, and the Browns do not even go into a huddle, but come up with an unbalanced line with Graham at quarterback. There's the snap, and a jump pass to Dub Jones is complete at the line of scrimmage. He's down to the 25, the 20, the 15, before he's brought down by Stan West, the guard for Los Angeles. Another first down for Cleveland. The Rams just can't seem to stop those passes of Graham. Time is running out with the ball on the 15-yard line. 33 seconds to go. Once again, the Browns line up. Graham wastes no time. On a quick opening play, Otto goes off tackle to his right, picks up 4 yards, and Cleveland calls time. The ball is resting on the Rams' 11-yard line, directly in front of the goal post, with only 28 seconds left in the game. Now Graham is looking toward the Cleveland bench, and Luke Rosa is coming into the ball game. The toe comes running on the field. The offensive squad for the Browns lead, throwing their helmets in the air and slapping each other on the back. Everything now depends upon the big toe of Rosa. Rams lead by 1 point, 28-27, 28 seconds to go. The teams line up once more. The pressure was never greater. With the Pro Championship of the world, the much sought-after prize. Time's back in. Signals are being barked. Tommy James is back to hold the ball for Groza, with his knee resting on the 16-yard marker. The ball is snapped. It's a good pass from center. James has it, sets it down. He's getting good protection. Groza draws back his foot, boots it. It's up in the air. The referee throws his hand straight up. It's good. Final score, Browns 30, Rams 28, and Cleveland rides to victory on the toe of Lou Groza once again. It is the opinion of many that as long as Paul Brown is calling the signals from the bench, it is going to take a tremendous effort on the part of the other National Football League teams to keep the Cleveland Browns from maintaining their perfect record of never failing to qualify for a championship game.
Big Moments in Sports with Harry Wismer is directed by Gene Kirby, written by Arthur Suskin Jr., and presented by the United States Air Force in cooperation with this station. This is Bill Reddick speaking. Your United States Air Force presents Big Moments in Sport. Marquette Stadium, Milwaukee, June 30th, 1934. Glenn Cunningham and Bill Bontram meet in thrilling 1,500-meter race.
This is Harry Wismer bringing you a big moment in sports history. What you are about to hear is a dramatic recreated account of a never-to-be-forgotten sports event at the peak of its power-packed action. It's a story that has been and will be retold as long as people talk about sports. But first, before we turn back the clock, here is Bill Reddick with a message from the United States Air Force.
Every young man knows that to be successful in sports, in business, in any undertaking, he must aim for the top. And that's exactly what you do when you join the United States Air Force. The skills you learn in the Air Force can take you to the top in many different fields: radar, photography, administration, medical assistance, or the exciting new field of guided missiles. The training you can receive is the world's finest, the latest, most advanced training offered anywhere. What's more, you earn while you learn, and you enjoy the great advantages of free medical and dental care, plus a fine retirement plan. Yes, the future looks brighter in Air Force Blue. So if you're between the ages of 17 and 34, see your local Air Force recruiter now. Find out how you can set your sights straight for the top as an airman in the United States Air Force. Now back to Harry Wismer.
Many years have passed since Glenn Cunningham, the Kansas Flyer, pulled into the siding to say farewell to the most colorful career ever run on the cinder and wooden tracks. Cunningham ran his last race in 1940 at the age of 30, and then quit to devote his remaining days teaching in a country classroom. His retirement left a void that may never be filled. He was the glamour boy of track and field in the 30s, the decade of magic milers, the era of Gene Venske, Archie San Romani, Bill Bonthran, Chuck Fenske, Sidney Wooderson, Jack Lovelock, and the Rideout twins, Blaine and Wayne. Glenn Cunningham had to hit the top the hard way. When he was 7, he suffered an injury that left him almost a cripple. He was a country lad who had to go to a one-room school for his early education. Attending with him most of the time were a brother and sister. There were times, because of the inclement weather, that the teacher was late, and when that happened, one of the pupils had to make the fire to keep the room warm. On one particular day, his brother volunteered. He picked up the oil can and placed it on the stove. It was a costly mistake. Someone had filled the can with gasoline, and it exploded. The flames hit quickly, burning both Glenn and his brother. His brother died as a result of the explosion, and Glenn's legs were so badly burned and blistered that he couldn't walk for a year. Only the patient and untiring work of his mother, who continuously massaged his legs, enabled Glenn to walk again. But on top of that, he had a foot handicap that few people knew about. Glenn Cunningham had no transverse arch in his left foot. So he was never able to run with his foot straight out. He always had to run with it at a right angle. But it never stopped him from reaching the top once he made up his mind to do so. Cunningham learned that lesson when just a freshman in high school. He was rather a small boy at the age of 13 and always seemed to be a little tot to his schoolmates. Once, while visiting a county fair in Elkhart, Kansas, Glenn passed the window of a hardware store in which there was displayed a medal to be given to the winner of a mile race, entries open only to high school students. Glenn's parents didn't favor athletics too much, so Cunningham had to sneak away to compete. In this race, Glenn ran in street clothes and tennis shoes, while the other contestants, members of the school track team, wore the necessary trunks and spiked shoes. At the start, Glenn was left at the post. Most of the competitors were older, taller boys. In fact, Cunningham, in telling the story, says the two of them really looked like giants. It wasn't too long before he caught up with them, however, but then he didn't know what to do to pass them. He had never been in a race before. So instead of running around them, Glenn ran under their arms like a little boy, and he kept running so fast that no one was close to him at the finish mark. Even though he won, he never did get the medal. He was so scared when the race ended that he went straight home for fear someone would tell his mother he had been in a race. Since no one claimed the medal, the superintendent of the school returned it to the store owner. It was perhaps the only time Glenn Cunningham never received his award for winning a mile race. Beyond doubt, Glenn Cunningham was the greatest indoor runner of all time. Endowed with a quarter-miler speed, Glenn popularized the doctrine of progressive acceleration. He was the first miler to run the last half of a mile faster than the first half. The Kansas Flyer had many rivals as he ran the boards in New York's Madison Square Garden, the Chicago Stadium, the Boston Garden, and in Cleveland, San Francisco, and Philadelphia. Cunningham was respected, but never too popular. Not too many people knew the reasons why Glenn had to take long warm-ups before each race. Many of them felt that he was being an exhibitionist in those long jogging exercises, while in reality, he was giving heat to his tightened leg tissues, which had to be loosened because of the fire accident in the schoolhouse when he was a boy. Glenn Cunningham had one rival he couldn't shake, no matter how hard he tried. His name, Bill Bonthron of Princeton. Unlike Glenn, Bill didn't like to run. Bonnie towed the mark because he felt it was his duty for dear old Nassau. His long strides down the home stretch were something to see. In fact, in 2 of their 4 meetings, he let Cunningham watch from the rear. But as soon as he graduated, Bonthron, a tall, dark, deep-chested power strider, quit the track to devote himself to a career as an accountant. But I bet he can still hear Madison Square Garden fans yelling, "Here comes Bonnie," in his attempt to nip Glenn Cunningham at the finish line. Now, before Big Moments in Sports brings you in detail the thrilling account of the record-breaking 1,500-meter race between Bill Bonthron and Glenn Cunningham, here is a message of interest to all young men who want to go places faster.
The science of aviation is growing fast. And the man who grows with it, the airman in the Air Force who can keep him flying, is a very important man.
Right now, the United States Air Force offers you the chance to be this important man, to build a bright career for yourself in the field of jet aviation.
As an airman, you'll receive the world's finest technical training from the men who know it best. You'll be trained in such vital skills as jet engine repair, airborne radar, electronics, air traffic control, rocket propulsion.
As an airman, you earn while you learn. You'll advance as high as your interest and ability can take you. Enjoy opportunities for worldwide travel and sky-high adventure.
If you're between 17 and 34, see your local Air Force recruiter now. Secure your future in the jet age as an airman in the United States Air Force.
Marquette Stadium, Milwaukee, June 30th, 1934. The record-breaking 1,500-meter race between Bill Bonthron and Glenn Cunningham.
This is Harry Wismer speaking to you from Marquette University Stadium, where along with some 17,000 Milwaukee sports enthusiasts, we've been sitting under a hot, sultry sun, watching America's best track and field contestants competing in the 59th Annual Championship Games of the Amateur Athletic Union. American and world meet records have fallen here this afternoon like apples from a tree in a windstorm. Now, here comes the race we've been waiting for, the 1,500-meter classic. It has 5 men in the field, but I can tell you right now that 34,000 eyes will be glued on just 2 men, Glenn Cunningham and Bill Bonthron. Lining up with this pair, we have Gene Fensky of Penn State and the New York Athletic Club, Robert Morris of Lincoln, Nebraska, and Nelson Brown of Pittsburgh Teachers. This is the rubber match, or fifth meeting between Bonthron and Cunningham. Their previous 4 races, each winning twice, were all over the 1 mile distance. Today's race, to be recognized by Olympic standards, will be their first meeting over the 1,500-meter distance. They do not run the mile in the Olympic Games, only the 1,500 meters. This metric mile is a fitting climax to a series of battles between these two rivals, Cunningham and Bonthron, that have taken them all over the country. In their third meeting, Glenn embarrassed his Princeton rival when he won with 40 yards to spare and right in the presence of Bonnie's classmates and friends at Palmer Stadium. But it had to be in world record time, 4 minutes, 6 and 7/10 seconds. Bonthron won the last time out, but fell 2 seconds short of beating Glenn's time. The runners are ready. This is the event this huge crowd has been waiting for all afternoon. The boys are on their mark. Set. There's the gun, and they're off. Fensky is out in front. He defeated Cunningham in the National AAU 1,500-meter race last year, and by just an inch. Now Cunningham is moving out in front. Evidently, he wants to set his own pace. Bonthron is right behind. He doesn't want too much distance between him and the Kansas Flyer. The pace is starting to catch up to Fensky, and he's dropping back. Morris and Brown are just along to make up the field. It's now 2 laps to go, and Cunningham is still out in front. He's starting to pour on the gas. It's now a lap and a half to go, 600 yards from the finish line. The gap between Glenn and Bill is getting wider all the time. Cunningham really has it today. They're now hitting the backstretch. Cunningham is in front by 5 yards, but Bonthron still hangs in there with him. They're now going into the far turn, and the distance between them is about 8 yards. Now they come into the home stretch for the bell lap, and Cunningham leads by 12 yards. This guy is running like I've never seen a human run before. Glenn is blazing away, but Bonnie is staying right up with him. They move into the final turn. Who can catch Cunningham? He's 15 yards to the good, but Bonthron is still hanging in there, head bobbing up and down, legs pumping away. It's now 100 yards from the finish, and Bonthron is starting to come on. He's making his move, but it looked... But Cunningham looked like he was all in. Hold it! What's that on the far? Bonthron has collapsed. I'm running over to help him. The intense heat must have gotten him. It's been very hot under this blistering sun. The timekeepers are in a huddle on the track just below our broadcasting booth, and this race could have been run in record time. They don't usually make a fuss if it isn't something important. They are now double-checking their watches to make sure. They seem to be satisfied now, and here's the announcement.
Winner of the 1,500-meter race, Bill Bonthron, Princeton. Second, Glenn Cunningham, Kansas. Third, Gene Fensky, New York Athletic Club. Time, 3 minutes, 48 and 8/10 seconds, a new world record.
Losing this 1,500-meter race to Bill Bonthron was a tough defeat for Glenn Cunningham, because even though he missed winning by 1 second, he, too, had run this race in world's record time. Glenn...
This is a Western Agency Company production.
Today's football.